right. Thank you for accepting this and to be on our podcast, Big Conversations. So I have taken some time to really being together this conversation, being following up these, and I've been also following up on some of your work here. And it's quite impressive how you have, for lack of a better word, cut down the budgets, and I think the company is progressing. But I'll let you introduce yourself. Then in the introduction, I'll take the conversation again.
Okay, great. So thank you, Mark, for coming, for inviting, for doing this. I think it's good to. I am always eager to speak about e-commerce in Uganda. It's not the most popular topic, but we are going to make it popular, right? Yeah, Vinod Goel, heading Jumia in Uganda, both the businesses, the food and e-commerce. Before that, I was heading the supply chain for Jumia. I was based in Nairobi and looking for supply chain for the group. And before that, I've been in different countries, in different parts of the world, in different industries, with total 15, 16 years of experience. The good part of that was I have lived in around 7 countries in the last 10 years, and hence got a very good opportunity to work in the different cultures. And actually, in the last 4-5 years, mainly focus was in Africa and Middle East. So happy to be in the heart of the continent and working on e-commerce industry.
All right. Now, interesting. When you speak of culture, it reminds me when African Internet Group had just come here, so they just introduced Jumia. Yeah, there was this whole sense of new culture, just working in a new working space that's not the usual customized lawyer setting or what. It's just there. Creatives just come together with skills, they source them out and they work. So there was that much love. A company that was built solely on human reasons, right? Bring people together regardless of, as long as they had a skill that they could add into. Yeah, that was like the environment. For you, what sense of culture are you setting up for Jumia?
Well, Jumia's culture is still a culture of hustling. We are still very young. Some people say you are already here for 11 years. For me, 11 years is still too very young. If you look at the other big companies, the telcos, the banks, they are here for years. Standard Chartered just celebrated their 111th anniversary. We are on our 11th anniversary. So we are still young. Our culture is still hustling. We are still in the curve. We are still at the just before the tipping point, where once we reach that tipping point, I think how we will be growing way faster. And the tipping point is basically when all stakeholders, our sellers and our customers, have understood the real importance and the value of e-commerce. So until we reach that tipping point, we can't be comfortable at all, and hence we need to be really, really hustler, hardworking, smart working, tech oriented. So these are the values which Jumia brings.
When you speak of being tech oriented, how is the scaling? I was reading something online yesterday. Most of the people employed here are almost young people, right? Almost like Gen Zs. How is that in terms of skill? Do you have the right skill? And also, if you have the right skill, do you feel like people are paid their worth to really just build onto that skill so that they don't have to feel the need of being outsourced into companies that are out of the country? So that is the plea you get from almost everyone, that, you know what, with my skill, the people that are highly skilled, mostly, let's say, developers, they don't want to work for organizations that are here, so end up losing that skill. What's your opinion on that?
So I will answer it in 2 parts. The first part is the core technology, the real development of our applications and the maintenance of those applications. They happen centrally, so they are not happening in each country. So we are not looking for the core development and maintenance skills in each country. However, we have those centers. Our tech centers are in 3-4 countries, but it is not in Uganda yet. It can be for sure in future, but right now it is concentrated in 2-3 countries, and definitely all those countries are in Africa, and hence we have the talent in Africa. So whenever we need it, for example, recently we opened a tech center in Egypt, and we needed the skill set. We found it easily. I won't say it is the most common skill set available in our continent, but it's not hard to find, and we are getting good level of skills as well. Similarly, now we have just opened the tech center in Nigeria as well, and also getting great talent there. The second part of the part is not really on the development of the applications and the website, but it is more on how you use those applications, right? Even to use that, you need to be digital literate, and your mindset is towards digital. So everything we do here almost is linked to an application or a cloud application or an API, or Power BI,
Yeah.
So everything is tech oriented. We don't really, you won't see papers in the office, right? So even that is a cultural shift and a skills shift in Uganda. So if we try to hire people from the conventional industries, there is sometimes a cultural shock that how technically advanced we are, and hence I do not see that there is a skill gap. It is just the adjustment to the concept that can be new to some people, but then I have seen people adapting it to very, very fast, enjoying it, because it brings you efficiency, brings you speed, and brings you scope and scale, right? So I see that it's working pretty well.
Since also Jumia is an online marketplace, and by default it has warehouse and whatnot. Now, when you look at Amazon, they have cut down most of their human labor and started to use AI and robots. Is this the future of Jumia as well?
Look, we don't want to do automation just for the sake of it, right? We want to do automation whenever it brings value, either to whichever stakeholders, right? It brings value to our sellers, brings to our customers, to our employees. And we have done those automations, right? So if you go to our warehouse, all the pick, pack, ship process, when you receive an order, until the order is delivered, everything still happens in an automated manner. Okay. So we are using the latest picking softwares, picking devices. We are not using the paper files to take which items to be picked. So all that level of automation has happened because this is what we need. Now, do we have robots in our warehouse? Not yet, because it is not making economic sense to any of our metrics yet, right? Some of them we are exploring in some of our countries, and even in Uganda. And some parts, like for example, we are looking at the sorting. So we have to sort around thousands of packages in the morning. Currently, we are doing it manually with some tech help, but we are trying to do it fully automated, right? So we will do it only when it starts to make full economic and brings the value to one of the stakeholders, right? Right now we are not yet there, but in future, the moment it's all a question of scale. So the moment we reach that kind of a scale, we will look forward for it because it adds value. Until then, we're not gonna do it. So it's really value driven, economics driven.
Now, in terms of strategy and structure, when I look back to 2014, we have consistently had, and again, you correct me if it's wrong, there's always a time in Jumia where the downsizing. So this means that there's no prime structure that has been adopted that is working. It looks like trial and error, and it has been like this for quite a good period of time. Yeah, then that affects, for me who wants to be employed, it affects my thinking in terms of job security, or what's your opinion on
that? Look, I don't think that we have always been downsizing. The thing is, most of the time, the focus of the media and the people outside is on the negative news. So whenever we are downsizing, it goes in the news. When we are hiring people, it doesn't go in the news, right? So that's a little bit of a bias. If I just want to talk about growth, last year, 2022, 2021 and 2022, we increased our warehouse capacity. In Uganda, we doubled it. We were in a smaller warehouse next to Bata, 2,000 meters square space. Now we are in 6,000. So it's 3 times of the fulfillment capacity, and that is only Uganda. If you look at overall group, because I was in the supply chain in the group last year, Um, in almost every country, we at least doubled our warehousing capacity, our fulfillment capacity, our order processing capacity. It means we have been growing. When you grow this capacity, you don't only hire a bigger warehouse, you need to have more pickers, more packers, more shippers, more transporters, more hubs, more pickup stations, more videos. So all this have been added. So let me tell you, 6 months back, we were operating with 22 pickup stations around the country. Today, we are more than 40. Each pickup station employs at least 2 to 3 people. Each pickup station requires at least 100 packages a day. So it means this growth is there. That's why the network is expanding. Now, yes, time to time, as I said, we are still in the hustling. I still love to be in that thing. If we try something and it doesn't work, there should be no shame going back and say, guys, okay, it didn't work. Let's go back. Let's try something else. And we are also in the new territories, right? There are not many companies who are trying e-commerce in our continent,
Sure.
and hence there is no written script, there is no good formula. So we are trying everything, and we are trying to bring the best, and I'm really proud of that. That Jumia tries to bring the best value proposition, right, to our consumers. We do not say no. This value proposition makes sense only in Seattle or in Bangalore in India. We bring the same stack, we bring the same value to our customers here, and hence you need to adapt them to the reaction from the consumers, right? So proud of what we have been doing. You try something, it fails, you go back, but also I think there is a bit of a bias on the growth side, and we always end up looking at the negative side of the story.
Okay. Now, when you speak on it like that, so this is what a peak in the beginning, right? That like you yourself. So I've worked under Tomaj, Noah, and Liski. I was under Justin. It always seemed like, and also I also worked for Kidimall, that was the only competition that ever came
Yeah.
from Jumia. I was outsourced directly from Jumia, then I went to Kilomall. Now, when you look at all that, it looks like it has always been strategy designed from elsewhere, then brought down to Uganda and thrown to and try and make it work. Yeah. So it comes with top heads being multinationals, skilled as they should, but then in terms of that real culture and understanding, it's a struggle, right? And I don't know how you are perusing through that, how you really what you worked in different countries. So maybe it makes sense, but it has always been like that. What there's a system working elsewhere, and it's thrown down here to also make sure it works here, and that is to me always the fight.
Look, I will not be able to go in the history of Jumia. I've been here for 2 years. And let me give you a snippet about it. So when I was joining Jumia, I was based in France, and I had the options to go to do my central role. Huh? By the way, it was a central role, so I was looking at supply chain centrally. So I could be based in Dubai or in France. I could have argued about it, right? However, the condition, at least 2 years back, is that you need to be in an operating country. You need to be in a country where we have operations, the real operations. Okay, so that has been the condition since 2 years. At that time, we also had our headquarters in Jumia in Dubai,
Yeah.
which you know about, has been dismantled, and for solely the biggest reason was to bring the people on the ground. So the argument was that everybody should be in the operating country. So given that, at least in the last 2 years, which I can speak about,
Yeah.
our real focus is that every decision maker, every leader is attached to operations. And which is again helping us is that every decision then which is done, of course, the decision will be done centrally.
Yeah.
We can't do something different in Uganda strategically while Ivory Coast is doing something else, right? So strategy is made for all the 11 countries. If we do something big strategical decision, it happens for all the 11 countries. However, the inputs go from the countries. This is what I've been seeing in the last 2 years, which is great. Now, in the past, if it was different, I won't be able to comment. But I think this is the setup is good now. Even our group CEO, he was CEO of Ivory Coast. He stays in Ivory Coast. He's often seen in the warehouse in Ivory Coast. Almost all our leaders, I don't even know who is not in the operations. Myself, everybody. And hence, since we are attached to the ground realities and operations, the decision making is also connected to the ground operations.
Interesting. Now, in terms of decision making, I have recently learned. When I was having this conversation, my current boss is also a former CEO of Jumia, so I work with him elsewhere. So in our talk, when I was telling him I was going to have this conversation with you, he told me the only one thing I want to really know is for the very first time, it's been downsized on everything, but it's never been downsized on top management, right? Where we have seen more of the first person to do that. You want to highlight on that?
I won't be able to comment it right now because we are still finalizing the decision. However, as we said, everything is related to making this model work, right? So to make the economics work. Now, for that, if we have to take some bold decisions, that is why we are here, right? And that is why this decision is not taken by somebody who does not know the ground realities, and hence. So I really appreciate, and it is not happening only in Uganda.
Yeah, and so again, I wanted to relate to it to what Musk is doing with X, right? When he bought out Twitter, he poured almost all that money to bring a model that works.
Right.
So we're looking at it from that perspective, because Devon was telling me that this is what is happening all over the world. So it's happening at X, maybe it's the new trend. It has happened to where I work as well. We had to switch up roles from all the
I don't think we are trying to follow something. It is purely that, and also in the last 2-3 years, the startups and the scale-ups company like Jumia have really realized that we need to work on the economics part of it, right? So we are really working on that now. What I really appreciate is that now we are taking bold decisions. If we have to take bold decisions to do something, we will not have a taboo around it. If we have to do it something we have to do it, right? And again, the focus here. So I'm quite surprised, positively, negatively, that you already know what we are doing in terms of downsizing. But nobody talks that how many people we hired in the last 1.5 months. We probably have hired 10 people. 10 people, okay, and that too only in this office. How many people we have hired in our networks is way different, right? How much work we have done on different categories, and for each category, you need to have people to work on it, right? So that work is happening. But then, of course, whenever we feel and see that the economics is not working out or the value is not coming out of certain structure or the position, we are working on them as well. And we are not scared of whether how high the position is, how low the position is. It's not about that. It's purely about what makes sense and are we able to do it in a good speed or not.
Now, Jumia is you'd relate its success to it being one of those tech startups that it's almost like a Silicon Valley startup. It has enough money, enough investors to experiment with everything, right? But then you don't see that for many businesses in the country. So what is Jumia doing to place themselves in a position that they can support other businesses? Because Jumia is like a place where businesses come to make business.
Very good. I really appreciate this question. So Jumia has always, since because of the business model, because of the marketplace model, anybody who is a seller of a product or a service can benefit the platform, right? At least in the last 10-11 years, what has been done is that the platform has been solid. The brand is well known. When I entered Uganda and I asked randomly 100 people, do you know about Jumia? I think 98 people knew. It's a big thing, right? 98% people can connect with your brand. In this ecosystem, the sellers are taking advantage, right? I know some of the examples of the sellers who just started with a small brand, started only purely with Jumia, built the sales, okay, without going to the offline network. And today they are a very well-known brand up till Arua and in the north and Fort Portal in the west and everywhere in the east. Just by using the leverage, because Jumia delivers in the whole country. You don't have to bring offline distribution, which is painful. It needs a lot of relationship. It needs a lot of capital investment, which is not required. So the platform is there. Now, how much people are eager about to use that? It's really to the sellers, and we are going after them. We are also trying to make their life easy on Jumia. We have recently updated our portal for the vendors. We are working on our payment systems. So there is also a huge focus in our strategy, and I'm busy implementing that in Uganda, is to make the platform way more friendly for the vendors. I'm not saying it is painful, but yes, our focus has been huge on the customer side. We always have been saying customer is king, which is true. We still keep that statement, but we're also saying that sellers are also king, right? It is a marketplace. Supply demand has to match. So a lot of work has been done there. What is a little bit missing, in my opinion, and I think it has to come up, is that we do not see a lot of brands using this approach of using e-commerce as their testing platform or the scaling up platform. A lot of brands are still busy developing offline network, and hence not everybody can do it. It's expensive, takes time, and I've not seen that cycle, which has turned in many countries in Southeast Asia and India and in Europe, where the brands are coming specifically. We call that D2C brand. There's a whole D2C fashion or a wave in India, that every person who is motivated about building a business is going into a D2C business and launching the business online. That is the wave I'm still waiting here, and we are trying to trigger it, initiate it. So we are working with media houses, we are working with universities. I'm meeting Victoria University right after, Macquarie University right after, within this week, to tell them that people should have those kind of ambitions to create their own D2C brands, and Jumia is there to help.
Interesting. That's really, really, really encouraging. Now, in terms of ad spend, how much revenue is returned? Because Jumia is known for also making a lot of ads.
Right. Jumia was known for.
Yeah.
Or is it still known for, according to your latest information? What do you think?
Again, the adverts have reduced.
Yeah.
Yes, at least now we don't get
significantly, right?
Yeah. Why is that?
So it is part of the economic equation. We think our brand is well known. So in terms of awareness, the brand is well known. Of course, we still have to do the recalling. Even if people know about Jumia as a brand, they need to be recalled about the brand, that the brand exists, and you can buy, if you're buying a TV, you can buy from Jumia, right? It's a reminder, or we can call it a recalling of the brand. So that's the part we are working. In terms of building the brand, I think we have invested enough in the past that the brand is well known, well positioned. What we are also trying to do, because we have to make sense of this economic equation, right? So we don't want to spend too much on marketing, but there has to be a balance. However, we are also working a lot on our experience, on our operations. How do we make sure that our vendors love working with Jumia, right? And hence the supply side is sorted. How do we make sure that our customers are getting their products on time, in a good situation, in a good speed, at a good delivery fees, so that they connect to Jumia without being shown those ads. So we are working on our ops to help us reduce our ad spend. So this is the strategy we are taking. It is working very well. We have cut our marketing spend by 70%, while the impact it had on our top line, even our page views and our visits on the websites are in the ratio of 10-12%, and even this gap is closing continuously. So this month versus last year, if you look at year on year, August is actually growing, both in the top line funnel of page views and visits, and in the orders, while our marketing spend is 1/3 of what we used to do before. So
there's something I feel like you have ignored, or e-commerce has ignored. Is podcasts. In the US, right? Podcasts make businesses a lot of money. When you look at the Joe Rogan podcasts, and it's not done the normal advertising, like they're not going to throw ads at you. Joe Rogan is just going to endorse a product because I have an audience. Say for me, right? I have been doing this podcast thing. I've been doing it with my co-partner. We've been doing it for 3 years. He has most conversations of his are about tech. Mine are most about marketing because I'm into the marketing field. Now, these people that are attached to this podcast, they listen to it and it goes beyond. So when I endorse a product, maybe they will, but I don't have to endorse a product because I'm being paid to do it. Once I like something, I'll talk about it on a podcast, or if you come and talk about Jumia, I have my passion with Jumia. I think to me it showed me the light, so I give all that thanks to it. That's why I suggested for this interview. But a lot of businesses do not want to invest in this section until they see it work, like in the US, right? Yeah.
Okay.
What's your opinion on?
I think I don't know if ignored word is the best word. Maybe we have not pushed it enough. I accept it. Maybe have we considered podcast as our mainstream media strategy? You're right. Maybe we have not explored it enough, and in fact, we should be pushing it more. So yes, I think it's a good way. Looking forward, I think we should go more and more. I have a huge faith in the podcast system. I also appreciate that it is not a push strategy towards the consumer.
Yeah.
It is more to bring more information to the customers, more educative way, and answering their questions, being connected with them. So I think podcast is a very, very good platform. And today onwards, we can make it our mainstream strategy.
I agree totally. Yeah, that's I've been talking to very many people
Yeah.
out here about it, but the vision is not something they want to buy into. But now that I have you,
Definitely, I think we'll be connecting very, very often. However, how is the podcast? Because when you give the examples of US, the podcast has also scaled up. The subscribers, the listeners, the percentages are way higher than I think here. But I don't know.
Yeah,
You want to
it
throw-
is again way high. Look at how Jumia started, and they've done an incredible job just sensitizing people to start buying online, to really use the phone as a business, right? So that's how you have to look at it.
So podcast is also in the initial phases. Perfect.
And it needs people to trust it enough so that
Correct.
now they're partnering with big people like Jumia, and then it's a boom. But there's quite a number of them that are solid, consistent, with good numbers. I feel like they're there. Kenya is doing it. There's people outside are adopting.
Okay, good. So two hustlers on the
Exactly.
on the same topic. Why not? Let's.
How long do you think you're going to hustle, Jumia?
As I said, we are waiting. I won't say we are waiting for the tipping point, and it's my personal theory that there is a tipping point. Once we reach that, and that tipping point will be reached when both consumers, whenever they are shopping, e-commerce is, I'm not saying only Jumia, e-commerce is one of the first option they look at. Okay. Similarly for the sellers, whenever the sellers want to grow their business, okay, in terms of geography, in terms of brand launching, in terms of new brands coming in, when they look e-commerce as their first option or the first or the second option, we have reached a tipping point. It means then the growth would be in double digits, okay, consistently month over month, because there is a pull effect, right? We have reached that, but for a very small share of consumers and very small share of sellers. We still have to do a lot of push work. And until we reach that, we need to do hustle, right? Now, I don't necessarily feel that we should ever stop hustling. Even when you reach the tipping point, you would have another challenge, right? You will not be happy growing 22%.
Yeah.
So, why 22%? Why cannot I grow by 100%,
Yeah.
right? So we might again switch ourselves into hustling mode and do something more. So I don't really see it as a milestone.
Oh.
We are a hustler. I'm proud of it, and we'll continue doing that. We might take that small break once you reach the milestone. You celebrate about it, and you change what you're hustling for.
What was the upward of COVID to the growth of e-commerce around here? In your
Yeah.
opinion?
Well, I think COVID, for all the e-commerce companies, it was the best chief growth officer, right?
Do you feel like that was the time you're supposed to hit that tip? No, not you, because I don't
Yeah.
think you were here then. But the
We
company.
hit the tip, yeah, correct. No, but I was in France that time, and we saw immediately, automatically, e-commerce grew, multifolds, and but that was out of choice. There's a difference, right? That time, sellers and customers were out of choice. I'm talking about when the customers, even they have the choice to go outside, go to the Kampala Road and buy a phone versus go and buy it on Jumia. If they reach a stage where they think, even if there is no issue in going to Kampala Road, shall I still consider Jumia? That is a natural tipping point. It is not a forced upon one. So I think I'm looking forward for that one.
Now, in terms of mantra and strategy, what sort of community are you trying to build? That if I get out of Jumia, this is how I want to be defined. As you know what, these are my values. What sort of value attachment are you trying to work around with the team?
I think, as I said in the beginning, it's really the hustling culture, hard and smart both. We can't just say that we are smart workers, and we are in the phase where we really have to put hard work, dedication, and then love for technology. I think love for technology. These are the four things which are definitely there. One more thing I'm trying to really push is kind of unshackle ourselves in terms of creativity and taking bold steps. I think somehow I felt that we are not taking enough risks, and it's not only about one department. Marketing, for example, I have a huge respect for the marketing team in Jumia, right? They are super skilled, they know what they're doing, but I still feel that we are a little bit not crazy enough. I want that craziness to come out.
Crazy. So, last time you put up a horse in the street.
Why not? Right?
Yeah.
We said, okay, what if the deliveries, how delivery would happen in 70s? And it was such a small gesture, it became viral, and we are not doing those enough. I do not see Jumia videos going viral because we are too cautious of on our content, that the content should be this, we should not be saying that, it might be too inappropriate, etc. Right? So I'm trying to change that and bring our creativity out and be bold, no shame. And sometimes our campaigns will go wrong. Sometimes some regulatory bodies might come, hey, you are not allowed to do this. Okay, we'll learn our lesson. But I think we need to open up a little bit more and show the world that we are the most creative, the most digital level company.
I want to work on with you. So besides us this podcast, right? Come from a studio. I want a studio, so we're investing heavily in just content creation.
Right.
So yeah, we feel like it's a niche content. Of course, it's a new while.
That's great. We need for it. Yeah. When I talked, like one of my questions to the team was why we are not the video factory of the Ugandan digital world. We should be creating videos every week. We should be using part of the AI to finish those videos. And then the remaining part can be shot in the studios, and we are not yet there. So I think there is a huge work to be done on that aspect, and you will see a lot of surprises in coming weeks and months. We'll be doing crazy stuff,
Exactly.
and bringing people connect to the brand, and we'll be doing more fun.
Do you feel like have you broken even?
We have. I think this is it's a financial information. The best way is to we just actually announced our results yesterday for Q2. Best way, go to jumia.com, go to the investor relation
for Q1.
All the information. Q2 was published yesterday, so you will see all the information is there. We have made huge progress
with the food.
With food.
Yes.
Okay. I won't be commenting on Jumia Uganda because I think you might have some numbers about it. Some of the countries in Jumia have crossed that milestone. Some are almost there. And what is good is that in the last not even 1 year, 8-9 months, the progress we have seen, it's just incredible. It's just incredible that how much we have progressed in the last 8 months and how close we are now. So we have reduced, you saw the results yesterday, we have reduced our losses by 67% versus last year. Like 2/3 of the losses are out of the window already. And we have not yet fully implemented all the plans we had for this year. So I think we are getting there. Super confident about that we would be there. It's now a matter of months and quarters, depending on which country, and then the overall company. So we are just at the doorstep.
So exactly how do you define your growth in your case? There are two ways here, right? There's defining growth with shooting up high numbers in terms of like order spend and whatnot, but then there's also defining growth by cutting costs, right? Operational costs. So for you in your case, how do you want to define?
No, I think the growth is really top line. Okay. Growth is really, you can have 4 or 5 matrices. Do you have more consumers? The daily active or the monthly active consumers? Do you have more orders? Do you have more revenue? These are the 3 matrices. You can choose one of them to define growth, and all of them are super connected. If you have more consumers placing more orders, it's more revenue, right? So that part is where we consider as growth. And you will see in the results that this is a part where we are catching up, but after doing so much on the savings part, right? But if you look at the bottom line, which is the profitability, this is where we have really done a huge job without impacting our top line much. That's the point we are trying to say, is that you have closed the gap here by 67%. Did you drop here by 67%? No, maybe a few percentages, right? And that's the beauty of it. And if we continue on this journey, but of course, now our focus is also on the top line. So I'm very, very confident for Q3 that we will have a much better news on the top line as well, while our bottom line news is continuing in the excellent manner.
What's your future projection for the company?
Well, future projection is that we will be growing and we'll be profitable. I do not have any doubt about it. Now, can I give you a timeline of one particular date? Of course not. I'm 100%, I'm super, super confident that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it is happening while creating the value for both our vendors and our customers, both our sellers and our customers. It's not that we are stopping the incentives for our vendors to make our P&L better. It's actually the contrary, that we are doing the ease of business. We are challenging our fees, which we charge to our vendors. Similarly, we are challenging our shipping fees, our delivering fees to our customer. We are reducing all of that. So I give you an example. If you had ordered a package in Arua, which is the farthest point for me in the country,
Yeah.
if you have ordered a 32-inch TV, you would have been probably paying 12,000 to 13,000 shillings for a small TV. Now you would pay 5,900 shillings. It's already half. We were delivering in 8 to 9 days in Arua. Today we are delivering in 5 to 6 days in Arua. Already half. Right? So we are doing, and that's the beauty, that while you add more value to the customer and the vendors, it has a ripple effect. The vendors love us, the customers love us, and we grow without spending money on advertisements. See? So the whole strategy, I kind of try to summarize you that how this equation is working without penalizing. In fact, we are trying to make everybody happy, and hence we are getting the best output.
That's really encouraging. I'm so glad that I've had this conversation. Now, in terms of legacy, when you look at other companies, and to me right now, I look at Jumia as one of those big companies in the country, right? So in terms of legacy, if I have worked here for, say, 10 years and I walk away, what's in for me? Minus just the fact that I've been getting a salary every month.
What's in for you? People will be queuing for you. And you'll be doing something which probably 80% of the people will not dare. And you would have a huge chance of being successful in what you will try. So 3 things: you will be in demand, you'll be doing something great, and you'll be successful.
So you feel like working here elevates my CV?
It completely changes your CV. It does not elevate. It completely changes your CV, yourself, then your network, your outlook towards the economy, towards the country, towards people. It will completely change.
Do you feel like you should introduce a pension scheme? Kind of.
I think Uganda has a very good pension scheme with the government, and it's probably one of the very good ones. I'm not a master of those in our country, in Africa, but it's probably one of the good ones. The percentage is pretty good, and Jumia supports that. We as an employer put our part in that. I think if people really stick to that and follow that, it is not, I think it's 15% of your basic, right? It is good enough. I don't think you really need to go for a
Honestly,
new
I actually
one.
not looked at it from a bigger aspect of that, but contribute that.
Yeah. If there are 2 contributions of that percentages, it's a significant amount. And I really appreciate that this kind of scheme exists, and it's can be used in your later
Now,
years.
also being the only African business that is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, do you feel like other businesses are not working as hard enough?
Wow. You want me to really comment on the other businesses and how
Because you're in that same space.
yeah.
Yeah. If we get more businesses listing, right? It's a win for stocks. So
No, I would really be happy to see more and more businesses going there, and hence I have some small share of my work and engagement goes towards that. I am connected with Innovation Village. I would be going there on Friday to do a soiree with the founders. So I would be delighted. Now, can we say they are not really working hard? I don't think so.
What was the formula from your perspective of Jumia getting to that?
I think the market is not easy to crack, right? We also need to be mindful of the fact that we as economies where we are in our tech curve, okay? And why, for example, even Jumia after 11 year is still looking for the profitability and growth, while e-commerce should be growing all automatically in double digits. It's that uh, the we are still behind in the technological advancement in that curve, right? So that curve has to work. I think there has to be a lot of support given to those guys from the government, um, because we are waiting only for the VCs to fund them, but how the VCs work and how much pressure you would have to go to make your business work, and hence taking shortcuts. But the government should be supporting in terms of making those things easier for the founders. I think there are a lot of schemes in many other countries. There might be some here as well, but I think they're definitely not enough. Um, our internet cost is high. If you're talking about startups working on internet businesses, our internet cost is high. Our uh, payments, our transaction cost is very high. And I'm very openly able to speak about it, is that why M-Pesa is adapted in a almost, I don't know what is the penetration, is about 98% in Kenya, while here is it's less than 50%. And people are with MomoPay, and people are still looking for withdrawal charges. It's a sign. When people are looking for withdrawal charges, it means people still work with cash, right? When you do the same transactions in your neighbor, nobody talks about withdrawal charges because nobody needs to take out the hard cash. Whatever I'm doing, I will still do the transaction with my mobile money, right? And why we are doing it? Because the transaction cost is very high.
I was in Chicago just 2 weeks, I think. It's interesting how MomoPay has penetrated. One, even to talk about a guy just
Yeah.
Do you have hopes of introducing Jumia Pay here? Seeing it successful in Nigeria.
So we have Jumia Pay here, but we are using Jumia Pay only as a gateway for Jumia transactions right now. In some countries, Jumia Pay is being used for non-Jumia third-party businesses as well. Uganda, not yet. In future, maybe. But for the moment, Jumia Pay is doing that. But I think there are some other solutions which it is again maybe goes to the regulations, that can we challenge the biggest telecoms to challenge their transaction fees on mobile money? Is it in the hands of the telcos, or is it in the hand of the regulation? We need to, I think, as I always said in my conversation, to make any business work, you do three things, right? You exchange information, for which you can build great websites and applications, which is good when we are doing it. You exchange physical goods or physical services, right? This, I think, works well. Our infrastructure, okay, the roads in Kampala are not the best, but our otherwise infrastructure is okay, and we have the logistics services. The third thing, you need to exchange money. These are the three things you need to do for any transaction, right? So my money part is expensive. My information part is expensive because data is expensive. So when three out of the two are expensive, the challenge, right? So I won't really penalize the founders. Actually, they are doing a great job. They are deep diving and sacrificing their golden hours where they can just have fun working in smaller companies. They are trying to build something, but they need support, I think, both from the regulations and companies like us. And hence, I try to dedicate part of my work to see whatever information, whatever help we can give to the founders.
Okay. What do you think about remote work? I'm seeing you have a lot of people coming into office to work, and people had switched out to most of the work people do is desk work.
Yeah.
Why do they have to come into office?
I think we switched to the office first policy. Now remember one of the statement you said that most of your staff is Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So connect with that. It is true, right? To work with Gen Zs, we need that dynamics in the office. Plus, a lot of them are doing their first job. They are new in their career, and they need to see what is happening physically, right? They need to sit with the people, give each other hands, right? So I think for all this, I really think that
something like more sharing value. Right?
Yeah, sharing value, creating that atmosphere in the office, be able to help out each other. We are working on a very lean model. So if one person is out, somebody should be there to help each other. You will also understand what is somebody else doing only if you are physically. I'm not against remote work. I think the situation we are in right now, it is way more value addition to my teams that they come together, they learn from each other, uh, and bring that dynamics to the company. Go to warehouse. I encourage everybody here, go to the warehouse, do picking yourself, right? Go to a hub and do order delivery. You can't do all these things if you are just disconnected and the remote work. So I really encourage, I really believe in working together. You learn more, become a better leader. You know what are your colleagues are doing. You're not limited to your scope of work, and hence it's good for the overall company and the development of employees.
Great, thank you. As I conclude, I'll just ask you, what is your personal mantra away from Jumia? How have you managed to rise up to become CEO of Jumia Uganda?
Basics, smart work, hard work. I believe in both
What
of
do you
them.
mean by smart work?
So smart work is how you manage your productivity. So I try to focus that I need to spend my energies on these tasks because they matter more than the other ones. So because you will not be able to do everything, right? And no matter how well you do it, you need to look back 1 month. And so every month I check, is my wardrobe clean? Like it's like a wardrobe. We all wear 20% of the clothes 80% of the time. The 80% of the clothes we wear only occasionally. So I'm trying to clean up that part in my task list. So one, focus on the productivity. I believe in taking quicker decisions. If I have to take bold decisions, I never be shy of it. I think that helps me a lot. I try to not being worried about too much of the hierarchy. I like to be open with my supervisors, my leaders, my bosses, and sometimes you get penalized for it, but that means you are with the wrong boss. But most of the time, you are being appreciated about your boldness and bringing value to the company, no matter what you have to do. And hardworking is really being dedicated. When I'm at work, I'm at work, and not to be distracted by so many distractions these days we have. And then I think one more thing is the exercise, the health part. I really believe in it. I religiously follow at least 4 days a week routine in my workout.
Yeah.
So I do whatever sports I have to do. If no sports, I work out in my balcony or garden, whatever you have. So I make sure that I do that reset before I come full-fledged with full energy to the work.
Thank you. Unless you have any questions to ask me.
No, I think pleasure talking to you. I think you throw some very very good questions. I take the feedback on the podcast. I think companies like us should be looking forward for the things which have not become the mainstream yet. So definitely we'll be connecting more and more on the podcast.
Yeah.
And thank you for passing all these messages to our viewers, to the listeners, and we'll be glad to do more and more.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, when I have